Alright, and I am live from my studio basement, or how we call it around here, my basement. Thank you for listening to the first episode of AMA Ask Maha Anything. This is your host, Maha speaking. Got some little topics for us today. The first one is a question from someone who has chosen to remain anonymous. She writes, I broke up with my boyfriend recently, and we decided that we wanted to remain as friends. We were in the relationship for 11 months. My question is, how much space should I be giving him, / how do we keep a friendship going while still giving the other person a chance to heal from the breakup and move on? So this is kind of a multifaceted question, I feel. It's like a big question. It kind of begs a lot of smaller ones, and I think at the core is the basic question, can guys and girls in general be just friends? I have a strong opinion on the subject. I get, I don't want to say I get this question a lot, but I guess the discussion comes up a lot, just in, day-to-day life with my friends. And I always refer to this one video on YouTube I saw. I don't remember the title exactly, but the general idea of it was this college student was going around asking guys and girls on his campus whether guys or girls could be just friends. And while, there's always the question of did they edit the video, were they biased, towards one result or another, in the end, in the end, the result was that all the girls said yes, they can, and all the guys said no, guys and girls cannot be just friends. And some went as far as to explain why not. It sounds like, honestly, after a lot of people watch the video and they get really surprised or something. I personally I expected it. Anywhere there's gonna be a guy and a girl, or assuming, of course, that they're both heterosexual, that there's going to be some sort of tension, whether that be sexual or romantic, or otherwise. Many girls will argue, you know, he's attracted to me, but I'm not attracted to him, and we're just friends, so, that's it, we're friends. And my main problem with that, I guess, is I don't believe that friendship is one-sided. And I guess if you were to ask these girls, on the flip side, like what if they were attracted to a guy who was not attracted to them? I'm sure, a majority at least would say they didn't want to remain just friends, that it might be painful or unfair or something like that. And so, the same goes for guys. So I think it's easy to see why guys and girls in general can't be friends. I do think there's a good rule, I think, for, male-female friendships, that work out. And I think it's that when the friendship is established, that either there are clear boundaries, such as, they're both in a relationship at the time, or at least one is, I don't want to say just in a relationship, because I've actually seen with my own eyes two people in relationships, they became friends and later ended up leaving their boyfriends and girlfriends for each other, so that was interesting. But in general, you see this a lot in married couples, for example, maybe if I was married and I met a married guy, not met him, but, became friends with him through some sort of, I don't know, at school or something, or at work. He tells me he's married, I tell him I'm married, then there's always that boundary, even if we come to a point where maybe in conversation or something, tension begins to build, it quickly dies out. Or, if the friendship, anyway, between the guy and the girl is based on something that's not necessarily a basis for a relationship. I know that sounds vague and, irrelevant, but for example, I honestly can claim that, like, if I have to say how many male friends, like actual friends I have, I would say just one. And me and him became friends through school. We went to the same high school, but I was not friends with him in high school. We actually didn't become friends until college, when, we were going into the same field of study. I eventually convinced him to go into the exact same field of study as me. So, we were taking the same classes, we studied together, things like that. That's how we became friends. It was largely based on, come study this with me and I'll help you. Very different than how most relationships are based, which is based on common interests, compatibility, things like that. While that doesn't draw a necessary boundary between us, it definitely, not necessarily discourages, but doesn't ignite or encourage any kind of, I would say, romantic tension at the very least, If these two rules, the rule of the boundaries and then the rule of the non-romantic basis, if neither of them apply, I really don't think guys and girls can be just friends. Someone's lying to themselves, or lying to, I don't know who else they think they're lying to. If you're attracted to someone, I don't think it's fair to either of you to continue being, if you're truly attracted to them. I don't mean, yeah, if you have a hot friend, I don't think that necessarily means that, oh, that's it, you shouldn't be friends with them. But if it's causing tension, either, if it's one-sided, then maybe the friendship, not necessarily be cut off, but shouldn't be, if, for example, if you're friends with a guy and and you're definitely developing feelings for him, or you're definitely attracted to him in a romantic way, and he's not, and you know that for a fact, for example, I definitely think, for example, if you hung out a lot, you should, hang out less, maybe text less, stuff like that, because it's just not healthy for you. To go back to the question though, you're saying how much space should I give him? We want to remain as friends. Personally, do I think that you specifically should be friends? Honestly, considering the circumstance, especially the fact that you were dating for 11 months, I was thinking about, if someone's gonna break up but then stay friends, maybe if you dated for, you went on a couple of dates, or you were dating for a few weeks and you guys realized, maybe we're not compatible. But, there's no reason to just block that person on Facebook and, um, unfollow them on Twitter and all that. So there's no reason for that necessarily. So you can stay friends. But 11 months is I would say, pretty ample amount of time for you to spend with someone, especially in a romantic way, or someone, for whom you had romantic feelings. I definitely think it's way too long to just immediately go into a friendship. I just don't think it's healthy. Not especially, but also because you broke up with him. I don't think it's up to you whether or not, first of all, you guys should even be friends, and then second of all, the amount of space, or, amount of time that he needs to heal or move on. It's definitely all up to him. I'm not saying, obviously, breaking up with someone is a big decision. I'm not saying there's absolutely no, burden or feelings on the person who broke up with the other, but I definitely think in this case, the choice is up to, in this case, your boyfriend, for example, or your ex-boyfriend, the one who was broken up with. As for how much space, if you insist that you two should be friends, how much space should you give him? Honestly, if you've just broken up with him, I don't think, if you really want him to heal and move on, being right there beside him, or, texting him all the time or calling him all the time, I don't think it'd be good for him. When you break up, you need some time apart to, not only to move on, like for him to be in that state of mind to meet someone new and, adapt to life without, this person as their girlfriend, especially since you guys were dating for 11 months. But also, even if you do want to become friends, I think there's definitely some stages, some periods of time that need to pass before that happens. First, a period of complete space, in which I don't even think being friendly, if you bump into them, you say hi, what's up, just be casual. But I do think there needs to be a period without even that, with just complete space, just be apart, don't, text or talk for just a period of time, it passes with, passes naturally. You don't need to time it, be like, okay, it's been a week, time to talk. And then I do think there needs to be a separate stage of simply being friendly and just, hey, how's it going? If you happen to meet up with them, but not purposeful texting, especially not on your part, because you don't want to give him a false sense of hope or anything like that. You don't want to lead him on thinking, oh, maybe she'll, especially if you've completely moved on and there's no chance of getting back with him. You don't want to give him that hope that, oh, maybe she's, changed her mind. She's texting me, so she must care, those kinds of thoughts. I think if you were to be friends after a breakup, with someone you were with for a long time, I think honestly it would happen naturally. You know, I think if all those, those stages pass and the boundaries are reset, the boundaries that would spell or discourage tension, with whether romantic or sexual tension between the two of you. If there are boundaries and, for example, he finds someone new, you've moved on, and you guys, start talking again, just, casually, just like I said, based on something that's not similar to the basis for a relationship. Yeah, I don't see why any two can't, get over a breakup and be friends again. But I definitely think it would take a lot of time, especially considering the duration of you guys' relationship. Obviously, I don't know any details, don't know what happened, don't know how you broke up, but to answer your question, how much space? As much as he needs, I would say wait till he's ready to talk to you. However, I would discourage, in general, the friendship after a breakup. So, speaking of guys and girls being friends, a topic that's been on my mind for a while and been on the internet for too long, I think, is that of the friend zone. I don't know, I feel like it's a really polarized debate. Everyone's either, oh my gosh, all girls are ungrateful and, self-centered and inconsiderate, or you're on the other side where it's like, all these guys are desperate, all these guys, think these girls owe them and all that. There's this really negative social stigma with this word friend zone, with the word stigma. Or, sorry, wow, I'm messing up. Okay. Anywho, but a question I really wanted to pose was, does it even exist? Does the idea of a friend zone even make sense? And when you think about it, just listen to people who say they've been friend zoned and kind of ask them what happened. This happened recently, actually, with one of my friends. They told me that they got friend zoned, and I said, "Oh, how so?" And they said, "Oh, well, they just got out of a relationship, so they're just like texting me and but they keep flirting with me." And they called that friend zone. I'm like, if she doesn't want to, or he or she anyway, if he or she doesn't want to be in a relationship with you, but they want to be friends, like, it kind of ties into what I was saying earlier. If you really have feelings for them and you, like, you're just very attracted to them and you can't see them, you don't see them in a friend way, but only in a romantic way, then honestly, well, it's not friend zone, because that's not very fair on their, like, for them, for you to just say, oh, they friend zoned me. No one's obligated to be attracted to anyone else. This is where a big part of that, polarization comes, is the guy will say, oh, I'm such a nice guy and she's with such a jerk and she's friend zoning me. Well, if she's with that guy, if he's a jerk, if he's a nice guy, it doesn't matter. She wants to be with him. She doesn't want to be with you, and that's her choice. There's no right or wrong answer in an opinion. Choosing a guy is the same thing. It's a matter of choice, and she wants to be with that guy and not with you. Or even if she's single and she doesn't particularly want to be with you, or the other way around. I don't really hear as much of girls complaining about being friend zoned, rather than, see, they just refer to it as being rejected. And, I mean, why can't it be the same way for guys? Why can't guys just say, oh, I got rejected? I mean, not as, I guess not as happily, but, to answer my own question, I don't think the friend zone actually exists. Even the term is kind of was kind of coined as a way to guilt the rejecting party. You know, oh, you friend zoned me, or I've been friend zoned. Look, I'm stuck in the friend zone. Like, if someone doesn't want to be in a relationship with you, they have no moral obligation, no social obligation, no sort of obligation to be in a relationship with you. And for you to call it something that's so, like, that's viewed as so negative, I think that's just unfair and uncalled for on either side, girls or guys. You know, I'm not calling out guys necessarily, although I can't think of a time when I heard of a girl getting friend zoned. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I haven't heard like a complaint about it before. While I don't necessarily consider it a real thing, obviously people that feel this way, I have a few solutions for you. Basically, if you get friend zoned, I want you to consider how much or how strongly did you feel for that person who you feel friend zoned you. If you just met this girl and, you know, she's really, if you're a guy, I'm assuming, you know, or a girl, I'm not judging, but if you just met someone, for example, you know, they're really attractive and they're, you know, you're liking, you know, you're really hitting it off, you like their personality, and then, you know, maybe you ask them on a date and they say no, for whatever reason, maybe even if they're, you know, maybe they're in a relationship, even if they're single is what I'm saying, just think about, before you just say, oh my god, friend zoned again, tips fedora, think about whether or not you could value them as a friend, if you could see them at all as just a friend. If not, honestly, don't pursue it. Don't get false hope. Don't give yourself false hope. And if you don't feel too strongly, like romantically attracted to this person, then don't make such a big deal of it as far as to call it, you know, being friend zoned. If you've been rejected, you know, no one likes rejection, and especially if you were very attracted to the person or you had high expectations or, you know, you had, you know, high hopes of them being interested in you as well, then, I mean, that's natural, that's normal, you know, being rejected in any kind of scenario, feels that way. But the best thing is just to move on and not to dwell on it so much, and especially not to generalize it to the rest of the gender or that type of person, like, oh my gosh, all hot girls, friend zone, you know, uglier guys or something like that. It's just ridiculous. It's kind of like obviously just saying that statement, you can see it sounds really stupid. So that about wraps it up for my first podcast. You can find a link to my blog on my profile. If you have a topic or question that you'd like me to talk about, please feel free to submit it through my website or email me at askmaha.blog@gmail.com.